All right, VC, back for part two. So let's just kind of jump right into it. This time again, we're doing, as far as recent finds, this is going to be R&B, couple soundtracks, and at the end I'll do some CDs that I've picked up over the past really couple months. I haven't really shown any CDs in quite some time. So um, first vinyl record I want to show here is Bill Withers' "Naked and Warm." Again, more of that great Bill that they've been reissuing, and they've almost reissued his entire catalog at this point in time. You know, just basic 180 gram vinyl. Um, I think the only three that I need now to kind of complete his discography, if I can say the word, is the Live at Carnegie Hall, um, About Love, and then his last studio album. I can't remember the name of it. Watching You, Watching Me. That's what it was. So, and I haven't really checked lately too. So maybe they've already reissued them, but that's going to be very, very nice. Because again, I love Bill. Love me some Bill. Just one of the most pure, true to heart artists that just love him. But let's move right along. As I mentioned in the last video, you know, one album that I've been looking for the longest time was a perfect copy of that Rat, Invasion of Your Privacy. And a second one is this one right here, which is Rock Your Baby by George McCrae. I'd really been wanting to get a good copy of this. I had a copy, but you know, it kind of had a few pops and ticks here and there. But it was also one of those albums that's just not that easy to find in great condition, and when you do, it's you know, it's a typical $20-$25 type of album, and it's just like I just wasn't willing to pay that much for it, but I wanted one really bad. So when I was walking through an antique mall the other day looking for some stuff for the Boom Boom Room, which I have some very interesting new additions to the Boom Boom Room. I'll maybe kind of do a video to show those later. That's getting a little ridiculous actually, but yeah, I just kind of stumbled across this, and I pulled it out and looked at it, and I was like, oh, that looks perfect. And sure enough, so great album. You know, for those maybe that aren't familiar with George McCrae, I mean, really kind of his biggest hit was the title track from that album, which is Rock Your Baby. And I just think it's one of those just perfect type of songs. It's this great mixture of disco and R&B, but done in like this smooth, like dancing type of soft R&B thing. It has like this sexy element to it, and it's just the perfect song. It's a kind of song, and again, you know, sometimes I get these feelings and visions about different songs and how they affect me or whatever. But that's the perfect song to where if I was working in a discotheque like back in the 70s, and after the place closed, let's say I was sweeping up and I was the only person in there, that's a song that would come on that would have me like dancing on the dance floor all by myself with the place closed. It's just like it's a song that takes you to a good place. I mean, I love it. But moving right along from my cheesiness, we'll go to the Sons of Anarchy, and this is the soundtrack from season 1 through 4. Nice 2 LP set, and one that I've wanted for a long time, but it just typically they ran like $34, and it wasn't a $35 album by any means. But I stopped by a Half Price Books the other day, and they had it marked down 50% off plus another 10% on top of that, and I was like, now you're talking. $12-$13, definitely worth that. On clear vinyl, and again, if you like the show, you know, a lot of the music they did on there was just you know, good southern rock type of versions of songs that were already hits and stuff like that. And one of the main reasons I wanted a copy of this excuse me, was because of the cover that Battle Me did of Hey Hey My My, that Neil Young cover that he did. Fantastic track. And other great stuff like Katie Seagal's cover of Son of a Preacher Man and John the Revelator by Curtis Stinger. I mean, just a lot of really good southern rock type of tracks on this. So for that price, the soundtrack definitely worth having. Another good soundtrack Mistress America. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie before. I just happened to catch it a few months ago. Um, okay movie. I don't know if it was big or not. I don't recall, but definitely a movie I wouldn't go watch again. But it was worth watching it the one time. But the one thing I remember about it so much, just watching it, was the soundtrack. And there was a lot of stuff. Mostly music was done by Warman Phillips. You can see that right there on the cover. And it was a lot of instrumental things that was very 80s synth pop type of flavor to it. And again, that was the stuff in the movie that was really catching my ear. So there are a few regular songs, if you will, on the album, such as No More Lonely Nights by Paul McCartney, my favorite McCartney song, by the way. And Hot Chocolate has a track on here and a couple others. But for the most part, it's just stuff by Wareham and Phillips. And that's that nice synth 80s feel. So great soundtrack, and I was happy to see that it was out on vinyl. Now diving more into some of the R&B stuff. Every true R&B collection has to have Teddy P, Teddy Pendergrass, and this is TP. A nice gold stamp promo, and this has one of his biggest hits, which was Love TKO. I mean, that's an absolute classic that everyone's got to have if you truly have a R&B collection. Another group I've been wanting to get more vinyl by, and I was actually very happy to find these two. One is Earth, Wind and Fire, and this is I Am. And there's a lot of Earth, Wind and Fire vinyl out there, but also kind of being one of those bands, when people bought the records, they played them a lot. I always find it very hard to find these in great condition, especially at a cheap price. So digging at the record show the other day to find, a very nice pristine copy like this for only $3, extremely glad about that. And I also stumbled across one more Earth, Wind and Fire, and this is Raise. And again, just more great solid stuff. And this has Let's Groove Tonight on there, and there's a lot of other great hits as well. As a matter of fact, while I'm showing the Earth, Wind and Fire, let me go ahead and share this too, since I have it sitting right here. I did some trade the other day. Actually, this is probably a month or two ago, and I picked this up, which is Earth, Wind and Fire, the Complete Masters. Just kind of a CD box set with all their studio albums there. And I've been going through, that's why it's kind of sitting right down here, and listening to kind of all the albums in chronological order. And I think I'm actually right here at this point. But one thing I will say about Earth, Wind and Fire, most of us, we know them. Most of us can kind of, name a song or two by them and that type of thing. But I thought I knew them until I really went through and started hearing all the, the B-sides and everything else. And you talk about just an amazingly musical group. Very Prince-like in the context of, not they don't sound like Prince, but just kind of in that context of, you listen to a song and then it kind of makes you wonder, how did they come up with that? That's not just a typical, here's a beat, here's a rhythm, and then do whatever. It's just you can just tell this musical genius and this musical creativity just floating back and forth between artists from so many different backgrounds. And I don't know, it's just that the more I've dove into this set, I've just become more and more impressed by Earth, Wind and Fire, more so than I already was. So, moving right along, Mr. R&B himself, Mr. Soul himself, Bobby Womack. This is Understanding, one of his great albums, and of course it has one of my favorite songs by him, which is Woman Gotta Have It. Actually, one of my top 3 songs by Womack. I would say Woman's Gotta Have It, I'm Looking for a Love, and I Wish You Didn't Trust Me So Much. My 3 favorite songs by him over the course of his career. So if you're not very familiar with Bobby, I highly recommend starting with those 3 songs. Another replacement copy. Najee here. I don't know if anybody in the VC is familiar with him or not, but it's just a smooth jazz kind of guy. I don't hear a lot of people talking about smooth jazz in the VC, so probably far and few between. A little El DeBarge, Rhythm of the Night. Another classic 80s pop/R&B. As well as my boy talking about Earth, Wind, and Fire, Philip Bailey. One of his albums after he went solo from Earth, Wind, and Fire. Definitely my favorite solo album by him. And actually my favorite song by him, which is I Know. One of the greatest R&B songs to come out in the 80s. Love it to death. Pardon his clothes, but still. Evelyn Champagne King, I'm in Love. Again, one of the queens of the 80s there. 80s R&B scene. Love her to death. Found a nice sealed copy of Crush Groove. So, you know, couldn't pass that up. One of the great old school hip hop movies of all time as well. You know, but back in the days where rappers actually were more about the just the whole movement of rap and hip hop as opposed to I'm better than you or East Coast, West Coast, and all that kind of crap. And it was one of the amazing things about this movie is when you look at some of the top hip hop artists of the day, they were all part of this movie. You know, Curtis Blow, the Fat Boys, Run DMC, Sheila E., LL Cool J was in here. Full Force was in the movie. Just all kind of just fantastic artists. Such a great soundtrack. Copy of The Dude, Quincy Jones. This is a reissue on a clear yellow vinyl. Not sure why they did that, but so even though it was a colored vinyl, I was still happy to get it because again, it was a brand new copy. Import CDs actually had a good sale going, and I got it for I think $6.50, brand new. So you know that's definitely a decent find as well. So that's it for the vinyl. Let me share with you a few of the CDs that I picked up, and I actually want to start with this one because this is kind of an artist I'd like to introduce people to, and this is Mishu. That's her name. And this is Change the Wind. Now this is really, really cool because as you can see, it's signed. And this is kind of a really cool thing because she's a client of mine actually. And, you know, she had a show, a concert that she did the other night. It was also kind of like a CD release party, album release party because this CD, it just came out. So, you know, she invited me down. Sent me a text inviting me down, and I came down and checked out the show, and it was, you know, freaking awesome. And you know, really, really cool CD because I actually never really heard her perform. But it's very, let's put it this way, if you like Diana Krall with kind of a little bit of a, sometimes like a Middle Eastern flavor or a New Orleans jazz kind of flavor thrown in here or there, that's kind of what you'll get off of this particular album. So she has a band that has just very, very diverse from different backgrounds, so they bring these different flavors into the music, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought she was fantastic, and when I brought the CD home and listened to it the next morning, it was even better. So again, if you never heard of her, her name's Mishu. Make sure you kind of go check it out, and it's really, really great stuff. Now, other CDs that I picked up, actually this is kind of fun. I'll show these two at the same time because I was at this guy's table at the record show, and again, you know, just kind of thumbing through CDs or whatever, and I picked up these two, and he had a bunch of other boxes, and I was digging for a while before I found anything else. Well, the two that I picked up initially was Testament and then Taylor Swift 1989. This is our Dark Roots of Earth. Alright? Yeah, I always start to get that title confused. And so it's kind of funny because again, I'm sitting there, you know, holding these in my hand and I'm kind of digging whatever else. And he points at my hand. He goes, "You're gonna have an interesting night, aren't you?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh yeah, Taylor Swift from Testament." So no, I thought that was kind of funny as well because I didn't actually pay attention and realize that, yeah, I guess I am holding a Testament and a Taylor Swift album. But he ended up having some really good stuff at his table, and all of these too, he gave them to me for right about $2.50 each, which was really nice. So a deluxe version of Blood In, Blood Out by Exodus, which was really nice, you know, with the DVD and the whole nine. I mean, that's a heck of a pickup for only $2.50. I picked up both of the television CDs, Marquee and Adventure there. So that was nice to finally have these on disc. I've had the vinyl for quite some time, but never had a chance to stumble across the CDs. And another really good collection that I picked up, again for $2.50, you could not beat it. A nice Echo and the Bunnymen collection. You know, so you have Porcupine, you have Ocean here, and then as well as what's the other one? Oh, Crocodiles. Yeah, kind of holding upside down there, but you get the feel. So yeah, so again, just 4 really great CDs there. And the last one is Midnight Oil. This is Diesel and Dust, definitely my favorite album by them. Really love this album. And just to kind of throw it out there, I'm looking for a very nice mint copy of this on vinyl. I have a copy that's just not quite in perfect condition, and I really want, and I kind of purged it already, it's sitting in my purge pile, but I really want a mint copy of that. So if anyone in the VC happens to have one, interested in trading or something of that nature, please let me know, because this by far is my favorite Midnight Oil album. So there you go. There's a second video, and as always, let me know what you think. I'm sure there's some stuff that you hate, some stuff that you like, and I always like to hear your feedback. So take care, guys, and we will talk to you soon.